The symphony of our motorcycle's engines reverberates through the landscape as we gracefully twist the throttle, propelling ourselves deeper into the heart of Riverside. Beneath our wheels, the remnants of a bygone era lay silent, like ghosts of a memory's past. Yet in this moment, we are not bound by past, but rather propelled by an undeniable sense of purpose. Our journey has just begun, marking the start of an audacious expedition to the next town, filled with both promise and peril. With each passing moment, the undead-infested streets of Riverside drew ominously closer, the wind caressing our hair as the decaying urban labyrinth slowly emerges on the horizon, inching its way into our peripheral vision and mirroring itself in our rearview mirrors. The dust billows from our tires, an ephemeral curtain that blinds those unfortunate enough to dare to obstruct our path. An intermittent sense of claustrophobia gripped us as we forged a path through the sea of undead, a shiver rolling across our arms as the wind from their fingers passed over the tears in our sleeve. With each breath we steeled ourselves, confronting the walls of decaying flesh that encroached upon us. We counted the precious seconds, yearning for the moment when we could finally break free from their relentless presence. As we got further away from the center of cities, the intense hordes began to thin, making it much easier to enjoy our countryside ride. A few hours would pass as we trekked down the concrete river. When we came to a little pull-off down the road, we decided to stop since it looked like it was close to the river, and we really wanted to wash ourselves of the mess we carried. As we maneuvered our bike, we accidentally sent it flying backward into the fence, catapulting us off of it. It seemed like we were both fine. Now we just needed to clear the area of threats. Having cleared the area, we maneuvered our bike closer to the warehouse. Our plan was to venture into the forest and reach the river's edge for a much-needed wash. However, as we parked the bike, an inadvertent honk of the horn echoed through the surroundings, carelessly alerting anyone within a considerable radius. It would have been wise to make a quick escape, but instead, we chose to remain and confront the encroaching mob. It doesn't take long for things to get out of control, and we're forced to try and lose some of them in the nearby tree lines. With no signs of any more stalkers, we push through into the darkness of the woods to face whatever menace awaits us on the other side. It took a few hours, but we finally managed to clear our way to the river. Here, in the comfort of the cricket's choir, we washed the gore from our skin and clothes. It would feel good to no longer bear the weight of filth with us in our adventure. And we looked good too. As we were about to disembark, a man brings us a beautiful present, a double holster, to replace our current single one. There was also absolutely nothing of value in either of these buildings. So with a fresh wash and a new holster, we'll set forth down our path once again. The journey stretched on endlessly, the road unfolding like an unending ribbon of asphalt beneath our wheels. Time seemed to slow down to a crawl, leaving us with nothing but the monotony of open road. To break the tedium, we reached for our cigarettes, the embers glowing like tiny stars in the dimming twilight, each puff a fleeting escape from the relentless march of minutes and miles. At the first undefended crash scene we came across, we stopped for a quick break. It was about 5 p.m. now. We'd been on the road all day long. In the second car, we found a supplementary flashlight, which we'd happily take with us. About an hour later, we came to another crash site. The cars provided nothing, but now we were just outside our destination. We were going to take over this small cul-de-sac, but we couldn't do that being exhausted from a long drive here. We downed an entire bottle of vitamins to empower us to fight whatever threat awaited us at our new campsite. We dismounted quickly and loudly, yelling as we got off the bike, hoping to wake up everyone in this house. We didn't want any of them catching us by surprise. We'd lure them to the back with some noise, and then sneak in the front quickly to open an easier path to clearing out this house. While we instigated the second house on the block, we discovered a beautiful secret. Behind the house, they had a path leading to a dock on the river. This would be a perfect spot to call home camp for now. While we cleared out House 2, we found one of the best tools that we've been eagerly searching for, a can opener. Now all of our preserved food menu was available to us. Having cleared both houses, we collected some furniture to create a comfortable camp for ourselves, ensuring we had a secure haven to rest as the sun dipped below the horizon. We settled into our borrowed lazy man at the water's edge, basking in the tranquil symphony of the night's waves lapping against the shore, savoring a modest dinner that required the immediate assistance of our trusty can opener. We then treated ourselves to an after-dinner cigarette. As the smoke unfurled and spiraled into the night, we pondered the toll of the day's struggles. Our journey had led us to confront and dispatch more than 1,000 zombies to reach this point. We closed our eyes, ready to welcome the promise of a new day. As the sun painted the river's surface with its morning glow, we stirred from our slumber and departed from our dockside camp. Tonight, our culinary aspirations centered on a delightful fish dinner, motivating us to liberate a grill from the front yard of the initial house. With the grill now in our possession, we turned our sights towards the final unexplored property in the cul-de-sac. We took it slow as not to get surprised, taking out our opposition meticulously. In the kitchen of this old place, we find the remains of an end-of-the-world party. They even saved me a beer. We also found a pickle and some canned evaporated milk. Upstairs, in one of the dressers, we find a hand crossbow and some bolts, as well as a nice jacket that we might wear if it gets cold. With the extra holster slot, it was much more viable to use the hand crossbow, so we held on to it for the time being. We'd also collect some scrap wood from the busted down doors for our grill, and take a closer look at our new toy. Behind the last house, we noticed an old building on the map. We'd do some foraging on our way out there, and find what we would use for fishing later. When we got deep into the woods, we found an old hunting cabin. Inside, we found an antique oven, which normally would be an amazing find. We also found a trapper book, which may or may not come in handy, as well as some fishing line. When we finally get home, we craft up a couple of spears for our fishing session, and then enjoy a nice old beer to set the mood for the evening. Our efforts yielded an abundance of fish, erasing any immediate concerns about food. Slicing them into fillets became our method of choice, extending their freshness as much as possible. The process also offered valuable cooking experience all along the way. Following our satisfying meal of fish fillet, we closed our eyes, content with a day well spent. We awaken with a sense of renewal, as if we had undergone a remarkable transformation. Our hair had grown untamed and had abandoned its once familiar style. We couldn't help but chuckle at our comical appearance. Clearly, this wouldn't do. We reached for our trusty blade and skillfully sculpted our hair back into the style we preferred. Yeah, that's much better. Today's objective was to refill on gas. We used up our reserves and we're down to a quarter tank in the bike, which means we'd need to be extra careful if we drive into the city. We opted to drive back out into the country and search a nearby farmhouse and neighboring buildings that we saw on the way into camp. In the old farm shed, surrounded by the dead, we find a barrel with a small amount of fuel remaining, just enough to refill our tanks and our reserve. The next shed and car wreck were completely empty. On the bathroom counter, we find more drugs. The more the better, we suppose. The second house held only disappointment and a can of tomatoes. It was a little past noon when we got back to our bike. We'd paused to catch our breath and take an after-smoke break. Before heading to the last house on the lot. We find another apocalypse party, with another beautiful beer just for us. But that was all we would find here. We took the main road home to investigate how populated this part of the city would be. The results didn't really come as a surprise. Returning to our home camp, a surge of excitement coursed through us as we anticipated yet another meal, courtesy of our trusty can opener. We hungrily devoured our divisions by the tranquil blue river, our minds drifting towards the uncertain future. After relishing every last bite, we decided it was time to assess our physical condition. With a mix of curiosity and trepidation, we carefully unwrapped the bandages that had shielded our wounds. It was imperative to determine if our injuries had fully healed, or if they still required more time to mend. The choice before us loomed large, whether to confront the hordes lurking within the city, to scavenge for supplies, or embark on a daring journey toward Louisville. One thing remained crystal clear. Our forthcoming trials eclipsed everything we had encountered thus far. We pondered our options while puffing on a cigarette, knowing that our decision would have to wait until next time. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. A like, favorite, or share is also greatly appreciated. If you have a suggestion for a future challenge, please let me know about it down below or by joining the Discord. Thanks and have a wonderful one.